electric vehicles have sort of satiated the early adopters, the folks who want the latest and the greatest and cost is no object. And now we're moving into kind of that mainstream market. And they're getting a look at the average price of an electric vehicle being around 60 grand, and the fact that there really is not a very robust infrastructure of chargers around the country like there is gas stations. And they're thinking, it's not time yet, but I'd like to do something to reduce my carbon footprint. How about a hybrid? So hybrids sales are going to be up 35% this year in the United States, and several automakers are really going after hybrids now.
And what kind of price point, Keith, are we talking about on these hybrids? You just mentioned the fully electric can be up in that $60,000 range. Doesn't sound like a car for the everyman. So how much can you expect to spend on a hybrid these days?
Well, Ford sells a hybrid tiny pickup truck called the Maverick for under $30,000. And hybrids can be had for kind of regular car prices anymore. Ford is right now doubling production of its hybrid F-150 and lowering the price by $1,900 so that it's equal to the equivalent gas engine version of the truck. And it has actually plug ports in the back of the truck. It's like a mobile generator. So it does more than just kind of save you money at the pump. It also provides you with electric power that you can use to power a work site or a campsite or a tailgate.
And you were just mentioning the infrastructure for these charging ports, and obviously not nearly as developed as gas stations around the country, but where are we at with developing more of these charging stations? And especially, around the Northeast here, it's probably not nearly as ubiquitous as it would be out in California.
Yeah, California is the leading market. That's where their Tesla really dominates. But yeah, I'm here in the Midwest in Detroit. If you think it's bad in the Northeast, it's really bad here. You just don't have a charging station on every corner, and the industry hasn't even been able to settle on sort of what the plug should look like. There's still an argument over whose chargers to use. Everybody is kind of migrating to the Tesla style charger and using the Tesla superchargers, which are faster and better. But there's still two different kinds of chargers out there, and JD Power has done a number of surveys that shows the infrastructure isn't very strong or robust. People get to them and they're broken oftentimes. It's just not very reliable.
Can you even have one of these in your garage?
Sure, you can, and
Okay.
and that's what a lot of people do. Is you have the home charger and you charge it like you charge your cell phone at night while you're sleeping. Um, but still, if you want to, go on vacation and you're driving beyond your battery's limitations, which is pretty easy if you're heading up to Maine there from Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need a charger along the way, and you might have a hard time finding one.
Which is why hybrids are interesting. Keith, talk a little bit more too about the rate environment, the cost for auto loans, and that as a result of these being lower cost points, that your loan is going to be also less, and how that is a catalyst. And also just there's lots of options, right, for hybrids. I had no idea.
Yeah, there are options, and the whole rising interest rate issue is adding to the affordability crisis that's really hit the auto industry. For starters, you might recall that just the average price of a car is up 30% since 2019. Just a regular car is $45,000 on average. It used to be in the low 30s, and so now you have auto loans that are 7.2% on average. The average monthly payment on a car is $750, which used to be a rent payment. So that's created even more of an affordability crunch, makes buying an expensive EV even harder. So again, you come to the hybrid. It's kind of not even a midpoint. It's closer to the cost of a regular gas car than it is the cost of an EV. And people see that as an affordable alternative and a way to sort of edge into electrification.
Got to say, EVs, the high cost of EVs, and I know you say 60,000, but you start looking into anything with a luxury bent to it, and it's so much more than that. Keith, having said that, so what does this mean then when we think about this move towards EVs? We talk about tipping points globally and how it seems like we're getting closer, or we're kind of there when it comes to EV adoption, because of the price issues, because of higher auto loan rates. What are you guys thinking about as you cover this sector about the role of hybrids going forward and maybe sticking around a little bit longer?
Right. So hybrids at the moment are still expected to outsell EVs this year, just slightly. They'll have about 9% of the market versus 8% of the market for EVs. And I just want to underscore that. So that what that means is fewer than 1 out of 10 vehicles sold in America is an EV. Sometimes we talk about EVs so much that we think they've already taken over the market. 9 out of 10 vehicles sold in America are a traditional gasoline-fueled car, not even a hybrid. So that's something to keep in mind as you think about how EVs are taking over. But EVs are expected through the decade to increase a lot, and they will outsell hybrids. They won't outsell internal combustion engine vehicles likely before the end of the decade. But President Biden wants half of EV sales by 2030 to be electric. That is a stretch goal.
And just one last one here for you, Keith. When we're looking at some of these sales forecasts, I mean, this firm that you cite in your story, Global Data, expecting Toyota's hybrid sales to rise 7.5% this year. You're talking about this affordability issue, especially with these high rates. How much of that do you think is attainable?
Yeah, I think it is, with the hybrid piece. We just had auto sales come out this week, and Toyota and Honda and Ford today are all reporting double-digit gains in hybrid sales. I really do think people that were headed down the EV highway have taken a turn, and they're going hybrid.